Welcome back to the class of business economics. In our previous class, we discussed production possibility curve. In today's class, we will discuss economic system. After this lecture, you will be able to identify what is economic system and how economic system deals with scarcity. You will also be able to understand the different economic system, as well as you will be able to differentiate between free market economy, command economy, as well as the mixed economic system. Let's discuss what is economic system. Economic system is the decision-making structure of a nation's economy characterized by the entities and the policies that shape it. So basically it deals with the decision-making structure. Who all is going to make the decision? What all decisions are required? Basically, it is characterized by the entities. Entities could be the producer, the consumer, who all decides what is to be produced, and the people who shape the policies. So, it can also be defined as the combination of various agencies that provide the economic structure that defines the social community. So it is also deals with country's economic system, which is made up of institutions and decision-making structure that determine the economic activity. Means who is going to decide what is to be produced, who all are going to consume it, what is the spending ability of the individuals. So, economic system consists of the decision-making structures which actually determine the economic activity. So, an economic system, it is a means by which the government or the societies organize, distribute the resources as well as the goods across the geographic region or the country. Now, the point is why that distribution is required. Distribution is required because the resources are scarce in nature and the wants are unlimited. So, in economic system, either the societies or the governments, they organize the available resources, they distribute it among the variant goods and services. So, the economic system regulate factor of production, being it a labor or the capital. Because again I am repeating, because the resources are scarce in nature, the wants are unlimited. So, the available resources are distributed in such a way that full utilization of goods are made, and the system which deals with the distribution of the available resources is termed as the economic system. Now, the point is, what does basically economic system involves? The economic system may involve production, allocation of economic activities. Next is the distribution of the economic inputs so that better output can be produced. And the government to answer the economic problem of resource allocation. Because the main problem down the line is of resource allocation. So economic system deals with how much is to be allocated, what is to be allocated, so that whatever is produced is satisfying the need of the customers. So how distribution of inputs, how distribution of outputs is to be made. Now, economic system deals with scarcity. You all are well aware with the concept that what is meant by scarcity. Now, scarcity means where the production is less than the demand of the product. Now, why that production is less? Because resources are scarce in nature. They are not available in abundance. That is why the concept of opportunity cost arises. So, economic system basically deals with the concept of scarcity. It deals with the set of principles by which the problem of economics are addressed. You might recall we talked about the problems of economics: what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. So that is why the economic system deals with the problem of scarcity through the allocation of limited productive resources. So, the broad problems which are addressed by economic system, they are what to produce, what kind of goods are to be produced. Next, how to produce it, what method is to be utilized to produce that product, whether labor intensive methodology has to be utilized or capital intensive technique have to be utilized. Next, the third point is who gets what is produced. Now, who gets what is produced depends upon the paying ability of the individual. Those who have higher paying ability, they will get more. Who have lesser paying ability, they will get lesser product. That is why the problem of scarcity is dealt with economic system. Now the point comes is, what kind of economic system is dealt by the whole world? Broadly, there are three types of economic system. To start with, we have market economy, command economy, and the mixed economy. So we will be discussing these economies one by one in detail. So contemporary economic system includes market economy, command economy, as well as the mixed economy. Let's discuss it one by one in detail. When we talk about market economy means that economy or the system which is based on the concept of free market. When we say free market, means there is very little government interference. Whatever or the prices are determined with the forces of demand as well as supply. So there is no or very little government interference. Now let's talk about the features of market economy. The first and the foremost important feature in market economics is private ownership, because there is very little government interference, so the ownership is private in nature. Private sources are utilized to produce to meet the demand of the consumers. Now, when private sources are utilized or private ownership is there, it is going to invite decentralized decisions. Decentralized decision means the decision making authority, it is distributed throughout a larger group. So, when distribution or the decision making authority is distributed throughout the larger group, so there is no problem faced in decision making. Another important feature which is marked in the market economy is the self-interest. Now, self-interest could be, if we consider the producer, self-interest would be the profit maximization. If we consider a consumer, self-interest would be utility maximization. Now, as a consumer, you always try to maximize your utility. You want to pay less and consume more. Whereas, if you are a producer, you want to charge maximum prices. You want to charge maximum so that your profits gets maximized. So, if it is a self-interest, either it would be marked by profits from the producers or you higher utility from the consumers. Next important key feature is allocation by price. Now, allocation by price means here demand and supply plays an important role because it is a free market economy. There is no government intervention. Forces of demand and supply play an important role to determine the prices. So, the last key feature is efficiency is valued, which means the level of performance that uses the lowest amount of inputs to create the greatest amount of output. Means lesser inputs are utilized to increase or to create the greatest amount of output, because you can relate it with the concept of self-interest. So, if wherever self-interest is there, their efficiency is valued or efficiency will be valued. Now, after discussing the key features, we will be discussing the advantages of market economy. To start with, the first advantage of market economy is efficiency. That is a feature as well, and that becomes the advantage as well. We talked about that efficiency is valued. So, if lesser input is used and output is more, means that firm is going to be the more efficient. If more efficient firms are there, automatically it is going to add some positive value to the overall worth of the firm. So, that is the positive point of market economy. That is, if efficiency is valued, the efficiency would be maximum. The performance would be better. The second advantage is minimum state intervention, because private ownership is there. So, government would be interfering very less. So, if less government intervention is there, so there is less administrative cost, because where more regulations are there, more government is there, automatically administrative cost is going to be the highest one. But in market economy, where the efficiency is bound to come and the administrative cost is less because of lesser or very little government interference. The next advantage is the individual choices. So, in the market economy, individual choices are undertaken because the private resources are utilized, private ownership is there. A producer can decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So, individual choices are given the top priority. Now, the last but not the least advantage of market economy is it is driven by profit. Because forces of demand and supply play an important role. Individual choices are there. Individual can decide what to produce, how to produce. So decisions are driven by profit. Like every coin has two sides, similarly, market economy or economic system also has two sides. If we have advantages, we also have disadvantages. To start with, first disadvantage is inequalities. So if it is driven by profit, it is going to generate more inequalities. In the sense, rich will get richer and poor will get poorer. The second disadvantage of market economic system is exploitation of poor. So inequalities will give the way to exploiting the poor people. And where inequalities are there, exploitation is dealt with, automatically economic welfare is overlooked. Then in that case, economic welfare is not considered because what is the main objective? The objective is to drive the profit because private resources are there, private ownership is there, maximum profit is the objective. So in that case, economic welfare is overlooked. Now the point is, who all are the countries which are having the market economic system? To name with Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Switzerland, Ireland, and the many other countries are there where market economic system prevails, where free forces of demand and supply plays an important role, where there is lesser government intervention. Next comes the command economy. Command economic system means where production is publicly owned and the economic policy is controlled by a central authority. Now, central authority means some government institution is there or the government is taking care of resource allocation, production, and it also assigns some production goals which actually allots raw materials to the productive enterprises. So, there is a dominant centralized authority which is, we can call it usually the government, which controls a significant portion of the economic structure. So the resources are owned by the public and all economic activities is controlled by the central authority, and that is the government. Now let's discuss the key features involved in the command economic system. The first and the foremost key feature in the economic system is state ownership. because it is a command economic system. Command means decisions had to be taken by the government. Resources are owned by the public. So there arises state ownership. The second point is centralized decisions. Means the decision making powers are actually concentrated in a few leaders at the top of the organizational structure. If you recall the market system, where we discussed that decision making is decentralized, whereas in the command system, the decision making is centralized, means a few people at the top, they have the authority or they are concentrated with the powers to take the decision. Third, collective welfare, because the decisions are taken by the public. So, social welfare cannot be overlooked. The main objective or the key feature in the command economic system is the collective welfare, welfare for the people. Last but not the least, allocation by a non-price mechanism. Here, price is not kept as a parameter to allocate the goods. So, whatever allocation is done, welfare is considered as the main aspect to allocate the things as well as the products. Price is not kept as a mechanism for the allocation. Next, we are going to talk about the advantages of command economic system. In command economic system, there is a collective goods provision, because the concept behind the command economics is the social welfare. So collective goods provision is very much there in command economic system, which is not there in the market economic system. Next point is of employment security, because in command economic system, resources are dealt with the state control, government is there. So people feel much more secure in their job, or there is the employment security in command economic system. Last but not the least advantage is the equal opportunity, because resources are publicly owned. There arises centralized decision. So the equal opportunity to all individuals are provided. Next is disadvantage in command economic system. The first is inefficient system. When government is having the power or centralized decisions are made, the system becomes inefficient. If the inefficient system is there, it is going to invite the cumbersome process. It is going to lead to the process which is unclear, which is cumbersome, lingering on the projects. Decisions are centralizedly taken, so no individual can proceed without the final verdict of the central decision or the central authority. So the last disadvantage is, the point is that there arises the concept of lack of profit. And mind it, profit is the base for survival of any firm. If a government is concentrating more of economic welfare, somewhere it has to look into the profit fetching opportunities as well, because from where the investments have to be financed. It is from the profits itself. But profit is given the last consideration. So the first and the foremost point is giving more priority to the welfare. So the market economy is having more priority to the profits, whereas the command economy is showing lesser priority to the profits. So the disadvantages of the command economic system starts from inefficient system, invites more cumbersome process, and last but not the least, it leads to lack of profit. Now, the countries which have the command economies, they are Cuba, North Korea, and the former Soviet Union could be considered under the categorization of command economies. Next, we are going to discuss mixed economic system or the mixed economy. As the name suggests, mixed, it means it is a system that combines the aspects of capitalism as well as the socialism. Which means it not only protects the private property but also allows a level of economic freedom in the use of capital, but also allows the government to interfere in the economic activities so that the objective of social welfare is maximized. So mixed includes both capitalism plus socialism. It includes private ownership plus government decision as well, because the purpose behind the decision is that undoubtedly the role of private ownership is playing an important role, but it is marked only with the profit maximization. Complete capitalism always includes overlooking of social welfare. So mixed economy looks into private part, private capitalism plus the objective of social welfare. Now let's discuss the key features of mixed economic system. The first and the foremost feature is coexistence of public and the private sector. As we discussed, as the name mixed economic system suggests, it is a combination of private sector as well as the public sector. The second important feature is the personal freedom, because it is marked with the mixed. So individuals have the personal freedom to decide what to do, how to do, and when to do, or what to produce, how to produce, when to produce, and for whom to produce. Another important feature of mixed economic system is that private property is allowed. Private property is allowed because it is a mixture of private as well as the public sector. The another important feature is economic planning. That planning is required, that it is a mixture of private as well as the public sector. So particular planning part has to be done. So it is followed with the point of price mechanism as well as the controlled prices. That free market, free role of demand and supply plays an important role, but it will not only inflate the prices, it will be marked with the controlled prices, because government simultaneously also plays an important role, because it is the mixed economy. Mixed economy is a combination of a private sector as well as the public sector. So prices are determined through the forces of demand and supply, but there is a limit. Some controlled prices are there which are earmarked by the government sector. So the last and not the least is profit motive and the social welfare. So social welfare part is dealt by the government. So profit motive is also dealt by the private enterprises because it is a mixed economy. So it is a combination of private sector whose purpose behind the decision is the profit motive, whereas the public sector as well whose decision behind any kind of activity is the social welfare. Now let's talk about the advantages of the mixed economic system. As the name mixed means, the combination of public sector as well as the private sector. So the first and the foremost advantage is it permits private participation in production. So private participation in production is accepted, is allowed, is promoted, and it also allows the healthy competition. Now that healthy competition should result in some profitable output. So it also deals with contributing to the public ownership in manufacturing, which can address the social welfare needs. So the point down the line or the advantages is that the private investment is promoted, as well as participation in production is promoted, which leads to the healthy competition resulting in profit, but not overlooking the concept of social welfare. But there arises one disadvantage in the case of mixed economies, which is like it lean more towards the government control and less towards the individual freedom. Individual freedom is there, but more lean towards the government control, because who is looking? Government is looking into it. It is mixed, private plus government is there. So government node has to be there. So every decision is lean towards the government control, and which leads to lesser individual freedom. So the countries which have mixed economies, they are Iceland, Sweden, India, France, Russia, UK, US. They are earmarked with the concept of mixed economies. Now, let's hurriedly discuss the difference between these three types of economic system, that is market economic system, command economic system, as well as the mixed economic system. So as we did, market economic system means mostly private, because individual or business decisions are undertaken. It is their ownership of economic resources. So automatically they are biased towards the entrepreneurial innovation. They would definitely identify the cost benefit analysis. What is the purpose behind doing this investment? What profit this investment is going to generate? So invisible hand, laissez-faire means no government intervention. So property rights and individualism is there. So when we talk about the market economic system, basically there arises the philosophy of capitalism, which is earmarked with maximizing the utility or the profit of the individuals and overlooks the concept of social welfare. Whereas when we talked about the command economy means government intervention is there, as government owns the basic factors of production: land, labor, capital, technology. But the another fact is it is biased towards the large scale capital intensive production. Central planning is there, collectivism is there, because the main objective is to consider the social welfare. Here the philosophy of communism plays an important role. So they are two poles apart. Market is pure capitalism, command is pure towards the welfare of the society. In between there arises a mixed economic system. When we say mixed economic system, it is a combination of private plus the government sector or the command economy. So government and the private ownership of the economic resources plays an important role, because the goal of balancing economic efficiency is there, so that both the profit maximization as well as the welfare maximization takes place. That's all for now.